Well, it's a big day today. It's the end of an era at Tata Sons as N Chandra writes that he will not seek reappointment as chairman, bringing 6 months of uncertainty over his extension to an end. Chandra says the Sir Rabji Tata Trust and Sir Ratan Tata Trust had unanimously recommended a 5-year extension, which was also backed by the Tata Sons Nomination and Remuneration Committee and the board. But the proposal was not carried through after one board member opposed it at the February 24th meeting earlier this year. He added that he deferred the decision in the absence of unanimous support. With no resolution after 6 months, he has now withdrawn himself from consideration and asked the board to finalize his successor soon. N. Chandra has spent 40 years with the Tata Group and has led Tata Sons since 2017. His exit, of course, comes as the group executes across major semiconductors, electronics, aviation and automobiles. Tata stocks have reacted very negatively today, with TCS, Tata Motors passenger vehicle, Tata Consumer and Tata Steel all closing lower for the day. The immediate focus, of course, Ajit, I guess now shifts to succession at Tata Sons, with major strategic projects at very, very critical stages. The big question is, in fact, now I guess, is who is going to succeed N. Chandrasekaran, and why his extension failed to secure that unanimous board support despite backing from the Tata Trust. And to understand what's next for the group and who can fill in Chandra's very large shoes, let me now welcome on board Suhel Seth, a long-time Tata Group associate. Suhel, welcome to ET Now. Thank you so much for your time today. N. Chandra, Suhel, spent 40 years at the Tata Group and 8 leading Tata Sons. How do you assess his tenure, and what, according to you, will be that one decision that he's going to be remembered for?
I think Chandra has been an exceptional Tata lifer. There's no question. An exceptional Tata lifer. Tata is in his DNA. He was Mr. Tata's pick, the Tata Sons board's pick in 2017. No question. I think the question you asked is, what will he be remembered for? He will certainly be remembered for something that he said and started to implement, the One Tata. He will be remembered for that for sure. He was an exceptional head of TCS following Mr. Ramdarai. I mean, you know, a lot of people are making a huge shindig about this. I'm not, it's way above my pay grade to say what has happened. It's his decision. The reality is as follows. In July 2025, the trustees of the Tata Trusts said that we should extend the chairman of Tata Sons' tenure. Okay. In February 24, 2026, the nominees of the Tata Trusts, who were present at the Tata Sons board meeting, raised some issues. It's all in the public domain. It's nothing that I know privately that you don't know or your colleague doesn't know. Those issues, centered around 3 areas. Number one, what is the business plan ahead for hemorrhaging the losses? Number 2, what are the issues that we must take on board? I mean, they must take on board in order to stem the losses. And Chandra at that point in time, as his statement very accurately reflects, Chandra at that time said, I do not want to extend or have my term extended if it's not unanimous. That is a Tata credo. That's how Tata people behave. They behave with dignity, with decency, as Chandra has. Now comes the next point. What will happen in terms of the succession? Look, let's reevaluate Tata Sons, okay, in a manner of speaking. The chairman of Tata Sons is the Bhishma Pitama. He's the guiding force. He's the person who sets direction. He is basically the moral compass of the group, which Chandra was and will remain till his term ends. The operating companies have always operated independently. They have their own boards. They're answerable to their own set of shareholders. So I don't see all this thing, oh my God, shares have come down, this has happened, that has happened. The problem with us is we're too quick to panic where there is no need of any panic. It's the same panic that I saw on the evening of October 24, 2016, when Cyrus Mistry was asked by Tata Sons board to step down because they had lost confidence in him. And everyone asked the same questions, my dear. You also asked the same question. What's going to happen? Who will take over? Chandra took over. Chandra took over because everyone believed, and rightly so, that he was the person who was best suited to take over the job of the chairman of Tata Sons. And I will say one thing about Chandra. I don't care about the surround sound, blah, blah, blah. It is personal dealings, in the way he comes across, in the manner in which he believes in the Tata Credo. I'd give him 11 on 10. That's the reality. Now, you can make what you want of it. You can create controversies where none exist. And I think, what he said, and let me tell you, it's not an easy job, yeah. It's a stressful job. To head Tata Sons is like almost heading, about 17 states clubbed together. And no, he wants to leave. He believes that, it should have been unanimous. And people are, quick to jump the gun saying, oh, this person is fighting versus that person is fighting. Afridi, we have made dead people fight in this country, yeah? Nehru versus Patel. So, this is not unique. So my view would be, let's calm down. This is an inflection point in the Tata Group, and the Tata Group has seen many such inflection points. When R&D took over from GRD, everyone said, oh, how will R&D manage? What will happen to the satraps? When the satraps were asked to, step off because of age and, tenure, everyone said, oh my God, Tata Steel is finished. Narendran is doing a superb job. Before him, Nerurkar, before him, Muthuraman, before him, Dr. Irani. And then there was Rusi. Everyone said, oh my God, Tata Chemicals, finish. If the Darwari Seth is gone, kuch nahi hoga. No,
Absolutely.
I'm not saying people are indispensable, but I think Chandra, knowing the very little that I know of Chandra, he's been an exceptional leader, exceptional human being. He believes it's time to go. And we must respect that decision, because this is a decision mired in grace and dignity, unlike what his predecessor did when he took the House of Tata to court and had articles planted. You and I were both witness to that. October 24 at 11:45, Nitin Noria and R&D walk into his room, and the next day a 9-page letter goes out to the media. We weren't born yesterday, my dear. So everyone knows what was going on. And I'm telling you...
I completely second that, Suhel, and I know that the script has...
Noel Tata is a decent human being. And I'll tell you what Krishna Kumar said, Mr. Krishna Kumar, when we got the hotel back after 26/11, when we went to the grand staircase at the Taj Mahal, Bombay, and he says, see, there are no bullets. There are bullets around the founder's bust, but there are no bullets at the founder. The founder continues to bless this group as he will. So I'm saying, calm down. I know TRPs are important, news cycles are important, but this is a group that has outlived, many groups. And it's a group driven by a philosophy of empathy, of compassion, of dignity and grace, all four that have been vested in Chandra, as have been vested in everyone else, and hopefully will be vested in the successor. It's the selection committee's job. You can't take over because you're too young. I can't take over because I'm incompetent. So they will choose someone good. That's how it should be.
Absolutely, Suhel, and I'm not taking away from the fact that Chandra should be given his privacy at this juncture, and I'm not taking away from the fact that this script has not played out earlier. It has, and companies are bigger than people by the end of the day. But ours is the business of news, as you would also know. What I wanted to understand from you is that Tata Trust unanimously backed a 5-year extension. The nomination, the remuneration committee backed it. The board largely backed backed it. Yet one member's opposition was enough to stall it for about 6 months. What does that tell you about the governance equation between the trust and the Sons board today?
I think that's an excellent question. So I'm a classicist as far as the English language is concerned. The board member did not oppose the extension. The board member said that we need clarifications, oblique answers to the issues that we have raised, that he has raised. So those answers, Chandra at that time also said, it's again in the public domain, it's not something that I'm telling you. Chandra at that time said, yes, we will get back to you with a presentation on all the issues that have been flagged off. Simple. There was no fight, there was no acrimony, there was no distrust, there was nothing. And my belief, Afridi, is in these things, you and I will never know what happens or what has happened. But I can tell you from the little that I know, the man that Chandra is, which is an impeccable, I mean, one of the most brilliant professionals. And from what Noel is, who is a Tata, who's served his life, in the house of Tata. You tell me, what sense and what joy would it give anyone to create instability? And that's where I salute a Chandra. Because what he has done is he has said that, look, I want unanimity. And if you see his statement says that, look, this is what I believe, that I need to step down. And he will serve his term till February 2027 and step down. He has also said in his statement that, yes, I will work with my successor, or, a successor needs to be found, which the selection committee will do. You tell me, in 2010, Mr. Tata knew that he would demit office on December 28, 2012. Fair enough. The selection process began. In the selection committee at that point in time was Cyrus P. Mistry, Kumar Bhattacharya, R.K. Krishna Kumar, and one more person, I can't remember who. That committee met 6 people or 4 people. Then the committee decided that the best person at that point in time suited to be the chairman of Tata Sons would be Cyrus P. Mistry. And in November 2011, Mr. Tata made that announcement that he's the chairman designate. And R&T mentored him from 2011 to December 28, 2012. On December 29, 2012, Cyrus P. Mistry took over as chairman Tata Sons. From December 29, 2012 to Monday, October 24, 2016, R&T never stepped into Bombay House. Never. Even though he was chairman emeritus, even though he was invited for every meeting. This is why I'm saying, Afridi, this is a different kind of group. They're different kind of people. They're cut from the cloth of decency, dignity, and empathy. To compare this to any other would, to my mind, be doing a disservice to the House of Tata. That's what I think.
Absolutely, I understand. But the business fraternity, Suhel, would wonder right now that the group is mid-flight on semiconductors, on EVs, on aviation, and Air India's turnaround, which has been a big overhang. All Chandra-led bets, right? I mean, how much continuity risk does this leadership vacuum sort of create for these projects in the near term?
None. Let me tell you, this is a great question. Let's look at the structure right now. The chairman of Tata Sons, as I said, is the guiding force. He looks at strategic direction, institutional compliance, and at the value architecture of the group, which Chandra has done. All the operating companies have their own excellent managing directors. They all have independent boards. Air India is a subsidiary of Tata Sons because of the fund infusion that it needs, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it is. I mean, Chandra is not flying an aircraft. And please remember, for all the people who say Air India this, Air India that, yes, there are blips. There are blips with every airline. No one engineers, as sad and horrific as it is, no one engineers a crash. No one wants consumer discomfort. No one. And steps are being taken. I fly more than most people do. And I'm seeing a new Air India. Is everything perfect? It isn't. There is no such thing as a perfect storm. So let's also stop bashing Air India. In our country, it's easy. Oh, this dal was ill cooked. Oh, sorry, this was not right. ठीक है. Look at the other airlines. I mean, other than two or three, the aviation business in the world is in a state of flux. Did Chandra or Noel Tata engineer the West Asia crisis? No. When an insane man occupying the White House who did, which sent fuel prices spiking. Did the board of Tata Sons engineer an issue between India and Pakistan? No. Those jokers in Pakistan do not allow us to fly over their airspace, which means the routing is long, which means greater fuel consumption. These are real issues, Afridi. I'm not trying to defend anyone, but these are real issues. To then say, oh, everything is wrong, nothing is working. No. Look at the statement Noel Tata made, qua the Tata Trust, about 5 days ago, where he said that Tata Trust wants to invest more and more in educational institutions and healthcare, something that R&T started with great flourish. I'm telling you, we are today on August the 12th, 2026. Let's revisit on August the 12th, 2027, and you will then see for yourself the stability, the decency, and the dignity with which the House of Tata act. There will
But
be
since
no
we're
issue.
talking about, right, since we're talking about the way forward here, Suhel, succession at Tata Sons has always been sort of fraught with a lot of fragility. I mean, Cyrus Mistri's exit still looms large, right? And we're still bringing it up. What should the board at this juncture prioritize this time to try and avoid a repeat of that boardroom battle playing out in public?
I don't think the Cyrus Mistry era will repeat itself. I mean, God bless his soul, he's no longer with us. So I don't think that'll happen. And that is quite evident from the statement of Chandra's. Number two, you asked a very valid question. What happens to succession? Succession in this country is a malaise. We all believe we are immortal, and it is no one's fault. It is not Chandra's fault. It is not Noel's fault. The board of Tata Sons is also not at fault. They will do what they feel is right. Please remember, the Tata Sons board today has some, senior heavy hitters. So, and they're a responsible board, as all boards at that level of that order need to be. So I'm not worried. Now, let me tell you, and this has nothing to do with the Tatas. This is a total segue that I'm doing. The other problem in India is if you announce your successor, no one gives a toss about the incumbent. They all run after the successor. So I think what is happening is good. It's stable. It's created stability. I don't care about the stock market. The stock market, you know this better. I don't even understand the stock market. The stock market has its own peculiar behavior of deciding life. Let them. We are worried
It
about
always plays on emotions. But Suhel, if I were
stock
to
market is
interrupt
you and I
you
know,
there.
yeah. Stock market is led by 10 brokers. You guys know this deal, yeah. Why do you think I've never invested in stocks? I'm happy with FDs. It's a riot out there. Due respect to them. So I'm not bothered about the stock market. My worry is
No, nor am I. It's always playing up on emotions, but I understand that. So if you were advising the trust today, Suhel, would you look for an insider who's been groomed within the system, or is this the moment for the Tata Group to bring in outside leadership to try and break from the past?
I don't know. It's A, way above my pay grade. B, I'm not competent. But I will only leave you with one thought, which troubled R&T, which troubled everyone at that point in time. It was the same insider-outsider debate. And the reason why they chose Cyrus was already on the board of Tata Sons from 2006. He knew the company. He knew the DNA. It's another matter what he did with it. And I don't want to go there. That's unfair because he's not amongst us. But the reality is, we don't know. And I'm no one to advise anyone because A, it's a decision that the board will take. It's a decision that the board will take based on the representation of the shareholders, of which Tata Trust is the largest. And I think I'm not trying to I'm not trying to deflect here. Please remember, I've never deflected and I won't. I genuinely believe, having seen the group from January 1990, before either of you were born, I can tell you, Afridi, it will all pan out well. There will be a lot of discussion, a lot of news shows, a lot of this, a lot of that. Articles will be written by people who have no clue about what they're writing. It'll all play out. But mark my words, you will see the House of Tata run the same course of decency, dignity, grace, and empathy as it always has. There's something special about this group. There's something special about the spirit that guides it. There's something special about every employee who works there. People don't work at Tata for a salary. They work at Tata for validation of humanity. That's the difference between Tata and anyone else. And I'm not dissing other
Absolutely.
groups. I'm just saying there's a certain, you know, I don't know, I hope you're from Lucknow. There's a certain tehzeeb, there's a certain terao, and there's a certain grace, all of which we are losing in all this rush in our lives. See, in Bengali, there's a saying, ki জীবনে কিচ্ছু হয় না যদি আপনি চান না আর আপনি যা চান ওটাই হবে means nothing happens that you don't want and what you want will happen. Grace, dignity, empathy and dignity will not leave the house of Tata. Never.
On that very dignified note, though I'm not from Lucknow, much from Delhi, but we will keep that discussion for another day. So he'll say thank you so much for your time today on ET Now.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Afridi. Thank you, Saji. Why did you let him speak, poor chap?
Because you asked to speak with me, that's why. But anyway, good chatting with you. Thank you.
And I'm glad that ET has had this discussion because it needs to be had. People need to know, but people also need to know that everyone is staying the course and steering a very stable ship.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you, as always, for chatting with us. And I guess that is going to be the big debate today on dinner tables and evening coffee tables, right? Who next now from the
for next few months till we get a successor.
Till we get a successor. But what is the chatter, Sajid? Someone from the inside or someone from the outside?
Within the Tata Group, as Suhel said, there's a lot of leadership which is there. And when Cyrus Mistry was removed and R&D looked for a successor, they looked within the group. And Tata Group has that thing, right? Tata Services, which is there. And there are a lot of CEOs who are coming, leaders who are coming from there. So there is a lot of leaders across group companies managing global level companies, and that could be one of them.
And in a very, very challenging time.
Yes.
Look how the world has evolved in the last 1 year. In fact, on that note, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll analyze what the group has achieved in the tenureship under, of course, N Chandra, and yes, what the stock market verdict and reaction has been to this very moving news.
Welcome back. We're doing this special show on the eve of N Chandrasekaran deciding to step down when its tenure gets over in February 2027. We're now joining us Ajay Srivastava, MD Dimensions Corporate Finance. Ajay, we want to discuss with you the market impact of this big transition that's going to happen with India's biggest industrial group. But before that, let's look at how some of the Tata companies have performed over the last 8 to 9 years. And Ashesha joins us with that.
Yes, first up, let's talk about Tata Motors and the turnaround we have seen in JLR over the last few years. It was acquired in FY19 when it was incurring losses to the tune of about 3.6 euros. Now remember, flashback to FY25 where it has reported record profitability, net cash and best ever margins in the history of the company. In fact, the target for FY29 that Tata Group has set for JLR is to become net debt free and 5 5 lakh crore Indian rupees of revenue for FY29. So that's as far as JLR is concerned. Let's also put the spotlight on a couple of other companies and the kind of transformation that we have seen under N Chandra's leadership. And let's talk about a Tata Consumer in that case, where it was earlier largely a broader FMCG platform, but now the company is focusing on debt reduction. It is also focusing on India operations as far as Tata Steel is concerned. They've expanded Tata Consumer Products. Tata Steel is doing good. Of course, Europe continues to remain a concern for Tata Steel, but otherwise, deleveraging continues to remain a key focus area. Let's also talk about group restructuring. Remember, Tata Motors, CV and PV was demerged last year. That was a big group level restructuring that we had seen. Tata Capital IPO in 2025 was another big trigger for the entire group. And other than that, they've also forayed into semiconductors with a total investment of about 1.2 lakh crore rupees. And they've also entered into several other new businesses over the last few years, whether it is semiconductors, iPhone manufacturing in India, and so on and so forth. Let's also talk about Air India then. Remember, it was originally founded by Tata Group earlier in the 1980s. In 2021, Tata again won the bid for Air India. In 2022, Tata Group completed the takeover of Air India, but reported losses in 2026 stood at about 22,000 crores. So the turnaround for Air India clearly has been slower than what the street was working with. The crash that happened last year in June exposes operational challenges and the reputational risk that Air India faces even today after being reacquired by Tata Group. So the turnaround clearly has been slow, and the group and Air India in particular continues to incur losses despite the turnaround that the company has been doing. Let's also talk about a couple of other ventures then, and let's start with Tata Digital. About 5,000 crore of loss is what it incurred in FY26. Losses continue to widen. It continues to burn cash as far as Tata Digital is concerned. Remember, a Tata New app, that was another app that was in the works. A lot of investment was being done for that, but there is no clear path to profitability, and thousands of crores were being invested on Big Basket, Tata One MG, and Chroma. So these were some of the misses under N Chandra's tenure over the last nearly 7 to 8 years of him being the chairperson of Tata Sons.
Thanks, Ashisha, for that update. Ajay, how do you look at this transition? Is it going to be a little more chaotic, in your opinion, from a market's point of view, and the markets will be watching out for who will be the next successor of N Chandra?
I think markets, companies will continue to perform, and they will reward what is the fundamental performance. I don't think so it's going to be a great difference to a shareholder of a Tata Steel or a Tata Motors or a Tata Consumer to say that there's a elevation, a change in the Tata Sons. Because at the end of the day, I think change is always good. And now that we have a person who is going to go out in 2027, no new person is there. Each of the MDs of the companies will be far more flexible, far more independent, and they will do a much better job. I think it's going to be, if you ask me personally, change is good. Gentlemen had done a decent job for Tata. There are pluses and minuses like all of us. Lots of minuses because, and I'll come to that I think it's a great thing because he's very good. You should not say anything bad, but the fact is, today Tata Group is positioned in all the smokestack industries, all the old versions. In the new age, they have been found wanting completely. They were in telecom, they're no one. They paid from 50,000 crore compensation, they are nowhere in telecom. They're nowhere in infrastructure at this point of time. They're nowhere in digital space. They're nowhere in, in the retail space. They wanted to get into quick service and so on and so forth. They're not in that space. They're not in semiconductors. So at the end of the day, if you look at the positioning of the group today, it's heavily skewed towards a Titan, a Trent at this point of time, two very successful ventures. Tata Consumer, a little bit, rest are all mediocre. Look at other steel companies that have gone way ahead. Look at other commodity companies gone way ahead. So I think, let's put it this way. I think this will give a lot of chance to the MDs of each of the companies to go and show what they can do without the meddlesome on the top layer of the company. So, and I think it's going to be great, to my mind, a great positive for all the listed players in the market, because they'll get some freedom till a new person comes in, put some controls, For 2 to 3 years, I think freedom is there for all the listed companies, and they will do a lot better. And I can promise you that much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like this script is not played out with many other groups before. But Ajay, what will make the street happy? An insider, getting the bump up, or someone completely anew that the group now entrusts with the chairmanship?
I think what will make the street happy is not that insider versus outside. If it's an insider, it's fine. There's no problem at all. I think the key issue is, will they let the new person let the companies perform, or will they run these companies for milking them for dividends? Because that's the major difference. Because if you let these companies perform and independently, and that is where the failure has been. So if you look at Tata's, they started so many new activities, in the digital space, semiconductor, retail, but they never raised money. They raised money only in one small company called Tata Capital, which is one of the smallest NBFCs equivalent in the country by and large today. The whole equity boom passed them by. They never raised any money. So when they want to fund an airline, or when they want to fund a semiconductor, digital, whatever it is, it was down to get the dividend out from the operating companies. I think if the new person comes in, has more orientation towards capital market, raises money from outside rather than just milking dividends, I think you'll find our companies doing very well. So it's not about inside outsider. The philosophy of milking for dividends versus letting companies grow with the money they have, I think that will change the dynamics for the companies and for the shareholders of the companies. So inside or outside is not relevant. Relevant is, will you still milk me for dividends, or let me grow at my own pace?
Ajay, we were discussing this question with Suhel Seth as well earlier, who is a long-time Tata trustee. The group is sort of mid-flight, if you will, on semiconductors. That flight has just about taken off for them. EVs, aviation, and of course, Air India's turnaround, which is sort of, long in the waiting. All Chandra-led bets, if I can call them that. How much continuity risk does this leadership vacuum for now create for those projects in the very near term?
See, I think there will be re-evaluation. Of course, there has to be, because you can't run them the way you're running them today. It's impossible. You can't fund them the way you're funding it today. That's impossible. So there will be a re-evaluation. And I think that's, again, I said, more sense will prevail, because, when legacy moves out, you have freedom to explore options. You're not in the defensive game. Why I set it up? What was the expectations? What is the, what were we supposed to achieve? How are we going to fund it? I think it's a blank slate for the management, for the board at this point of time, and say, okay, guys, we are here. We have no legacy left. Gentleman who set it up has moved or will move on. How do we position ourselves for the future? Where do we raise the money? So I think there will be evaluation, and I think some of the ventures, perhaps, if they can, they will definitely get rid of this big basket retail kind of stuff, because they're far too small, and they don't have the appetite or the money to fund it. But I think semiconductors, Air India is there for them. Nobody's going to take them off their hands. They need to run it at the end of the day. With great difficulty, the government of India gave it to them. Now nobody's going to buy that from them. So I think Air India is a given. All other ventures, I think, will be up for review. But I think the most likely, which will be an exit point, could be the retail part of it, because semiconductors is something that they would like to go in, and the rest of the businesses are just too small to even make a difference.
What is your view on the contentious issue of listing of Tata Sons? Is that something you think could happen from a street point of view? And if that happens, how does this change the dynamics?
Oh, it changes dramatically. I think a listing changes dramatic dynamics, because the responsibility, the performance, the board, decision making, everything's thrown open. Because if you got a family promoter chairman, you'll have to have independent directors on the board. You'll have much more transparency of decision making. I think this whole fiasco and all the last 2 years thing which happened wouldn't have happened if it was a listed company. In the public domain, information being shared, the resolution being passed, related party transactions being flagged out. I think, fundamentally, it's a great thing for even the capital markets, for the shareholders. to have a listed Tata Sons so it's transparent, and therefore it is very easy for it to be governed and people to interpret. But whether it's good for the promoters at this point of time, I doubt it, because they would like to keep it inside the system so they don't have to explain every decision to anybody. How do they allocate capital? How do they use the dividend? What do they do internally? Who gets what? And number three, most important, I think, is that once you're a listed company, your ability to influence your subsidiaries also changes quite substantially, because then if all in listed space, you are controlled by SEBI, disclosures, MIS, and all kind of norms, and therefore the governance pattern will change dramatically. For the shareholders, I'm telling you, for Tata company shareholders, it's the best thing if Tata Sons is listed. It's the greatest thing to happen. Maybe not for promoters. So I wish it gets listed. We have one more share to invest in, which is good quality, put all Tata companies and you can invest in them. And it's going to be great for the listed companies because the transparency will change dramatically. Capital allocation model will change. So I think it'll be a great thing if it is listed. I hope it is listed. And, the era of closed door, family owned holding companies taking private decisions gets over. You can extend it for one couple of more years, but sooner or later it has to be listed. And if government insists on it, it'll be a wonderful decision.
Very quickly, while of course the reaction today was only exaggerated on a TCS, but other than that, if these stocks from the Tata Group companies were to fall further, which one would you buy?
I just told you I don't buy smokestack industry stocks. I'm done with them. It's over and done. But I think broadly speaking, I think the fact remains that irrespective of the change, you saw how the two flagship stocks, the one Titan has performed. Everybody has seen how it performed. It's a great story. It's a great business and they built it up very nicely. So it's not about, just which one would you buy. I think I would say as a cohort, all of them would do well in the present scenario because the new guy has to bring energy in the system and says, sort out Europe in Tata Steel, sort out the growth issues, get this. You are in Tata's EV, they have got left behind in the EV space. They're not there. Ancillary, they're not there. If you look at, just look back and says, which are the groups, industries India has done great with and Tata is not there. You'll find out they're not in pharmaceuticals. They're not in CDMO. They're not in digital space. They're not in automobile ancillaries, whole host of places where India has done phenomenally well. They're not there. But having said that, if there's a great correction, I think Tata companies, as we said, corrections are always good to buy fundamental companies. Companies are good. Management will change, things will change. And 5 years back, you look back and says, life was good, change is good.
Yeah, change is always good. Ajay Srivastava, thank you so much for joining in today. Great speaking with you as always. Well, the Tata Group's listed companies today did see some significant revenue growth. In fact, during N Chandra's tenure as Tata Sons Chairman, and Trent's revenue, guess what, grew more than 11 times, while Titan's revenue increased 6.6 times under N Chandra. But the picture, of course, is mixed, as it always is with such a large conglomerate, and, raising the bigger question of how evenly the group's growth translated into profitability, and how is it that the share prices under his tenure actually panned out. Harsh joins in with that analysis.
Yes, so look at the Tata Group and, the strongest performers over the last 9 years since N Chandra took charge have been Trent and Titan, at least on the revenue side. They've clocked revenue growth of 25 to 30% roughly on a CAGR basis over the last 9 years. So you've seen some real strength in terms of top line growth for both of those. In fact, Trent's revenue has gone up 11 times in 9 years. That's just the strength of the revenue growth that Trent and Titan have seen. Those are the two big ones. Outside of that, there are plenty of others which have just about done double-digit growth. You'll see Tata Elxsi there, Tata Consumer there, and Indian Hotels has also done a 10.5% revenue CAGR over the last 9 years thereabouts. Also, Indian Hotels has been a big turnaround from a profitability standpoint. I'll come to that. TCS, the bellwether, has done 10% growth, 9.5% CAGR growth over the last 9-year period as well on the revenue front. Tata Steel, there's been a bit of a turnaround, 8.5% growth that even Tata Steel has clocked. Even Tata Motors has done low single digit. That's where the possible growth concern has come from a group perspective. Let's talk about profitability though. And again, Trent and Titan, both of those stand out in terms of profitability. The profit growth for Trent has been nearly 40%. 39.7% is the 9-year CAGR on profit for Trent. Titan has done a 16% PAT growth as well, so very decent growth. Tata Elxsi is the one that really stands out here. Tata Elxsi has done 13% revenue growth, but on the PAT, you've seen some very sharp growth, 34% growth CAGR off a low base, very likely of FY17 is what Tata Consumer has done, Tata Elxsi has done. Tata Consumer has done 14.5% growth CAGR over the last 9 years, and TCS, which is the bellwether, has done 7%. Let's talk about Tata Steel now. It had a loss of around 4,200 crore FY17, which has turned into a very strong profit of nearly 11,000 crore in FY26. Talking about the other one, Indian Hotels, it had a loss of around 203 crore in FY17, has now done a profit of around 2,247 crores down in both of these stocks. So not only is the growth revenue tailwind been strong, but you've seen some good turnaround even in terms of profitability on a couple of those names. That's broadly the way in which some of these stocks have done.
In a big news from business world, N Chandrasekaran will step down as chairman of Tata Sons when his current term ends in February 2027, drawing curtains on a decade at the helm of one of India's most influential business group. We also caught up with Mukund Rajan, who is the former brand custodian of Tata Group, to get his perspective on Chandra's resignation. In fact, he is stepping down from February 2027, and please listen to what he had to say.
Well, I must say I'm quite surprised at the news, but I guess events have led to this, including the upcoming AGM of the company. And in his statement, it looks as if there has been some issues with the board. He has referred particularly to a board member whose support he did not seem to enjoy. One would always want in a group as large as Tata's for there to be consensus around the leadership right at the top. And you cannot wish away the role of the major shareholder. So if it is indeed the trusts that are being referred to as the entity that had concerns about performance, had concerns about continuation of the current leader, obviously those have to be addressed.
This was known before because one of the members in the February board meeting did not endorse his continuance. And since the decision was not unanimous, Mr. Chandrasekaran decided to defer the issue for a future board meeting to decide. This is a very, very difficult situation with new investments in semiconductors and batteries and those issues which solar and those kind of issues which the group is venturing into, with the uncertainty internationally being what it is, its financial conditions being what they are and can get tightened up a little bit. So those kind of issues are on the horizon. But even if a person takes over, obviously the complexities are so huge and the number of units or number of industries which are within the Tata Sons fold are too numerous and too varied. It's going to take some time for the new person to really understand the business in its entirety and take a view as to how to steer the ship forward.
Well, that was Dr. Mukund Rajan, former brand custodian of Tata Group, and R. Gopalan, former finance secretary, giving their perspective on on Chandra's stepping down as chairman of the Tata Sons. That's all we have on this special show from Aisha Faridi and myself. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more news.